Hi everyone, in this video I'm going to show you how to use drag and drop in your Xojo web apps. Start by creating a Xojo web project. Now the first thing I want to do is to add a couple images to the project so that I can have these show on the web page to drag around. I'll drag a couple images I have here right into the project. Now on the web page, I want to display these images so that they can be dragged. So I'm going to put a couple image wells on there. I also am going to add a label to show how text can be dragged, and then I'm going to add a canvas that will show what gets dragged onto it, either the images or the label text. So I'll just reposition and line up everything here so that it all fits and looks good. Now we can add some code. So the first thing I want to do is tell the label that it can be dragged. So in the open event handler, I will call the allow text drag method and tell it I want the text to be copied, so it'll stay where it is. And then on the image views, I want to do something similarly, except I want to use the allow picture drag method. So I'll put that on both of them. Now on the canvas, we need a few events. So I'm going to start with the drop object event. That'll be called when something is actually dropped onto the canvas. And the paint event will draw what we drop. And then the shown event will set it up to accept drops. So here in the shown event, we'll add the code to accept both a picture and text drops. And then before we move on to the next event, I need a couple properties. So I'm going to have a drop pic property. That'll be a picture. And that'll save the picture that's dropped onto the canvas so it can be drawn later in the paint event. And then I'm also going to have a drop text property. And that'll save the label text that's dropped onto the canvas so it can be drawn in the paint event. Now in the drop object event, I can check the type of the sender. That's the object. And if it's a web image view, I'll grab its picture and save it in the property. And if it's a label, I'll grab the text and save it in the corresponding property. And then I tell the canvas to redraw itself. That ends up in the paint event being called. And then there, I check if there's a picture value. If so, I draw it. If there's a text value, I draw that. And then we just draw a border around the canvas so you can see where it is on the web page. So now I can run the project and test it out. And you see it shows our images in the text and the border around the canvas. I'm not able to drag though. That's weird. I can drag the text, so I can't drag the images. So obviously we have something we need to check in our project. So let's go back and take a quick peek at that. So we'll go back to the project. And I'm going to bring up the web page, and if I look at the property for the images, you can see I left the protect image setting turned on, and I need to turn that off. When protect image is on, it means you can't modify the image, copy it, drag it, any of that sort of thing. So with it off, I expect things will work how we want. So now I can click on an image and I can drag it onto the canvas and it gets drawn in there. I can drag the text, it also gets drawn, and the other image will replace the one that was there before. So that's it. That's how you can use drag and drop in your Xojo web applications.